Hi, this is Noah Cantor with Advice from a Young Tradesman TV, the partner YouTube channel of the Advice from a Young Tradesman podcast, and today's video is going to be a direct comparison between the Titan 440 and the ED655. I have found very little actual usable information on this online. It's mostly guys in stores reading off specifications that we can all do. I'm going to talk about actual use and compare it to something we're all very familiar with, the 440. I've been getting a lot of questions since I posted about this on Instagram and used it on a job last week. So I'm basically going to start sending people here for answers. Before I do that, I want to thank the PCA, the Painting Contractors Association, for underwriting content like this. They are aligned with my vision of educating, empowering, and informing. And they like the idea of contractors doing that for other contractors, which I do too. So thank you to the PCA. If you want to know more about them, check out the links down in the show notes. So I'm just going to go through like a job with each sprayer, every phase from carrying it in to cleaning it out and everything in between, and just talk about, how they compare. So quick context. I've had this one for about 4 years. It's been great. Like, there's a reason this is the workhorse of the industry. It has never failed me. It's gotten clogged a few times. Easy to remedy. This about 3 weeks ago, and I've used it for one job. So I can't talk on, longevity and overall like deep maintenance on this one, but everything else I feel like I can talk about pretty well. So reason this thing got on my radar, I hadn't actually heard of it until I realized that probably most of the guys that I follow on Instagram and chat with doing the nicest fine finish interior work were all using this. Like you go to the really high end, they're using some crazy HVLPs and $12,000 units. But just below that, a lot of these guys were using this one. So that put it on my radar. I realized it was surprisingly affordable. It was like $760. And a week later I had it. So I've run one job with it. Let's get down to it. Transport, walking it into a job. This one's a little heavier, a little more cumbersome. The weight isn't as well directed on it from the top, and oftentimes if you have the prime tube in a gallon of paint, you're kind of humping both of them around. It's a little awkward. We can all do it, but a little awkward. This one, really nice centralized weight there, and even if you have a full gallon of paint in the hopper, really easy to haul around. So minor, but it's there. Okay, so now it's on the job site, it's in the room, let's fill it up. One thing you've immediately noticed about this, I'm sure, is that there is a hopper, which I was unfamiliar with until I got this one. I'd never used anything like this. Basically, you fill up that bad boy, it drains directly into here, and the hose connects there. So really efficient. There's not a whole lot of, there's not a whole lot of chutes and ladders, whereas this one, there's a little more internal workings that you gotta fill up, especially this filter, which we'll talk about later for the cleaning part. But really easy, you dump paint in there, it primes with this, which at first I was like, this is chintzy, this thing is gonna fail, I don't know, but it's nice. When you prime, it circulates it up, back into there, there's no wasted product, there's no mess. I definitely prefer it to this, to this intake in the prime hose, because you always got to worry about where's this paint gonna go, this and that. I like that system better. It's also a little more passive. You can just turn this thing on. It wants you to prime it for about 2 minutes, but you can turn it on and walk away and go do something else because you know that it's just circulating back into the bucket. So you've primed this one for 2 minutes. You've primed this one until the product is coming out with no solvent at the proper consistency into hopefully the actual paint bucket, not a slop bucket anymore, but you generally get more slop and waste with this one. Now let's spray. The reason that I chose to try this one is because this one can do fine finish. You can do it all day. People will build businesses on it with the right tip, the right pressure, the right product. This one's way nicer. Just because you can do it with this doesn't mean it's the best way to. I know a lot of guys steer away from HVLP because they say it's slow, it's hard for production painting. This has kind of the opposite problem where it can get down to that fine finish level, but it's a little bit of a bazooka to a knife fight. You gotta move fast, you gotta have all the things in line, or else you're probably gonna get some overlaps where you didn't want to. You're probably gonna get some sags. This one feels more like airbrushing than rushing with the gun. You have time to really plan your overlaps and your moves. It's just a nicer experience to go with this. The atomization is better too. It feels like just a little bit finer than this one. For me, I like that. Flow rate is a factor. This one's about a half gallon a minute, and this is about a third gallon a minute. That's, for what I do for a lot of small or solo people who's 1-2 people, you don't need 2 guns out of it. You're doing everything from maybe some interior cabinetry or trim packages all the way to exteriors of a house. There might be some exterior of a house circumstances where you have a big tip, you want a big flow rate, and this one's not going to keep up. I haven't tested it that much. This one will for sure keep up. This one might max out. I have used a jet roller with a 1221 tip in this, and it was at capacity and exceeding it at a certain point. I was asking a little too much of it. So certainly a jet roller with a really big tip with a lot of output is not going to work on this one. But if you rarely do that like I do, this one will be just fine. So that is the application. A little less output, but for most situations, probably not much of a factor, and way slower airbrushing versus rushing. Okay, so now you're done spraying, let's talk about cleanup, switching products, oil to water-based. I'm sure if you're painters, a lot of you will be familiar with how much paint can get stuck in this filter. It is astonishing how much cleaning this thing takes sometimes, as well as just all the other lines. There's more internal workings here. You're going to use a lot more solvent while you're going to have a lot more slop to pack out or do something with this one. First time cleaning this one, I was astonished at how little cleaner, whether it be thinner or water, I needed. It is also really simple to clean this thing. So basically it's in prime position, circulating back like this. You want to get everything in the hopper out. You basically invert this, put it back in the bucket, and turn it on. It's gonna prime everything out back into your original bucket. You're not diluting it. You don't have to do that move where you're like, where is it? Where's the water? Where's the water? Is that it? Is that? You don't have to do that. It just drains directly into that. It gets pretty much all of it out at the first shot. Same with the gun. When you're triggering the gun to clear the hose, same thing. Super, super easy. I transitioned this on the job I did from Cover Stain over to Scuff-X. Cover Stain is beefy. It's thick. Like less than a half a gallon of solvent to get out. So that was excellent. It allows you to do things quicker and pack out less waste. Those are 2 really nice features in addition to spraying better. So that is super easy. Again, if you're not familiar with cleaning out this 440, it's fine, it's straightforward, but this thing has so much waste in it. It is often not salvageable, and it's a mess that you have to deal with. So that's cleanup. Let's talk some quick maintenance too. I haven't done a repack on this. 4 years of pretty steady use. I just treat it well. It hasn't been down on me. The most digging I've had to do in this thing was to get a fleck of paint out of up here. I just had to take that out, and I found a big hunk of paint. But yeah, it's pretty easy to burrow into this thing, but I haven't had to repack it. I think if you treat these things well, they need very little maintenance. They are robust machines. This one, again, I've had it for a couple weeks, one job. I haven't had to dig into that, but it looks like everything's really accessible. Plates will come off easy. It is straightforward. So plates here pop off. If you unscrew the hopper, you can also get in from the top. So I'd imagine if there are problems with this, access is pretty simple, maybe even a little easier than this. And for general maintenance, you're oiling both of these. It's the same concept, just goes in here on the 655 and up there on the 440. So Titan's a good company. They don't want people to suffer while they maintain their products. They have a good reputation that they want to uphold. I assume it's pretty much apples to apples there. Okay, I'm gonna anticipate some questions, some FAQs on my way out. So no particular order. If I had to have one, which one would it be? It's this one. This one can do pretty much everything that this one can do. You just take out the sealing, the kind of extreme flow stuff, and this one can keep up just fine, in addition to having a finer finish, less cleanup and less waste, which those are all really good practical things. I do think having both of these is a really good team for someone like me. I'm going to have a full-time employee later this year. She's going to be up to speed on one or both of these. I do see situations where one of us is doing siding, one of us is doing a garage door. So I think this is a great team. I'm really happy to have both. It doesn't feel like a redundancy. Graco versus Titan, there's always that question. I don't care. They're both really good companies. I just chose Titan, honestly. I got the better deal on the 440. I was price shopping between a 395 and a 440, and I got the better deal on a 440, so I became a Titan guy. I use Graco tips. They're all good, guys. It's more the operator than the tool in this case. These are both reputable companies. All right, so that's it. That is the practical daily use rundown of this. I didn't get into all the knobs and the bells and the whistles. This stuff is obvious. If you're a contractor, you should know how to do this. I don't think that's very helpful. I like to talk about how things are actually used. That's how I learn them. So I think you can tell I have a slight preference for this. And, I will post an update in like a year or two if I learn anything really significant about this that makes me change my opinions. But I feel like I have enough reps with it now to understand it pretty well and know what I got. And I'm really happy to know about this machine. As of February of 2021, this thing is really hard to get. I actually am aware that I got one of the last ones available. Titan, I think COVID, supply chain, labor issues is kind of making these to order, so I've heard. So there's not many sitting on shelves, so I can't help you with where to get one. But if you're interested, I think it's definitely worth it. All right, so that's it. A pragmatic field use guide between the two of these, the familiar and the unfamiliar, the new, the incumbent and the challenger. Yeah, I think I have a clear favorite. It's this one. This one's going to be on job sites with me more going into the future. And, if I form any other opinions about it that contradict this video, I will be sure to post an update, but I don't suspect I will. And yeah, if you want to know more about it, see it in use in real time or ask questions, comment section below is always a good way, as well as Instagram @AdviceFromAYoungTradesman. Thanks for watching.